Oh, just running a little behind this morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm gotta get things set up here. So, got a couple things going on. Make sure I look okay there. Not too bad. Oh, probably should have fixed that. Hang on a second. I have to go over to the computer and fix a setting because I forgot to turn something off that is maybe affecting my bit rate just a little bit. So give me just a second here because I need to do one thing here. There we go. Okay, that's better. Anyway, good morning, Monday. You know, it's Monday, so of course I'm a little not organized and doing things and other such stuff, but we will be into it here in just a second. I'm just getting my windows lined up here and ready to roll, and then we will push forward full steam ahead here because we got lots of stuff to work on. And yeah, it was an interesting weekend for me. And I will start with that story in just a second here. Let me get this set up. I'm going to get the chat windows set up here so that if anybody has any comments or questions or anything else that they'd like to throw up into the chat, I will try to monitor this as best as possible and get back to you as quickly as I can. The audio seems to be working, so... Oh, wait a second. I'm sorry. This one I just need to move over. Wait. I can't see the chat. I have to change the layout of this one. All right. I think we're good now. All right, I see all of my chat windows here, so we are good to go. And I'll tell you the little story of my weekend, which was, as I said, interesting to say the least. So when we were here on Friday, get all these done. There we go. Chats are organized and ready to roll. So once again, good morning and welcome to the workshop. My name's Jeff. This is JR's Woodshop, and this is episode 79 of my live stream, which is weird. I don't know how many actual weeks or months that is, but that's a lot of time on camera. So, you know, when you're here, if you want to hit a subscribe or a like or whatever, I'd appreciate that. Just for the sheer effort of doing this so many days in a row. Well, not in a row. I actually only do this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So it's not like, you know, it dominates my life. It's just enough to share with you guys, and it keeps me kind of rolling and progressing along with stuff that I'm doing instead of procrastinating and putting things off. That's the nice thing about a live stream is like when you have a schedule, you can't really just like hit the snooze button. You have to get up and get moving. And so when I'm making stuff, it keeps me moving forward and kind of keeps me focused and on the stuff I'm doing. So to that extent, the live stream is really helpful to me. Plus, it's kind of fun. I get to be out there and I get to interact with some really nice people and hopefully drop a little knowledge on you or get a little knowledge back from you, which is always a fun thing to do. Anyway, let me go back to Friday and explain what's going on. And to do that, I got to grab a box down here. So let me grab this, and we will explain what's going on here. And let me move my computer out of the way because it's kind of blocking the action there. I got so much stuff around. It's crazy. So Friday, what was going on was I had gone to the hardwood store. I had bought more wood to fix some of the issues I was having with these bases not being wide enough or being too wide. And I needed to insert some thinner pieces, some 1/4 inch wide pieces to make up that screw up and fix these things so that they will now be appropriately sized for the stuff we were doing. So I did this one. This was the walnut, and I had cut these. I had taken the pieces and cut them down and planed them down to the appropriate thickness, and then I had cut strips that perfectly matched up in here, and glued them and clamped them. And I was like, sweet, well, so we're ready to roll. So, and actually, I can take these clamps off of here because I don't really need these anymore. These were doing the last pieces. So on this larger base, what happens is when I put these long, thin strips in here, there's also a dado slot right here where another piece actually slides in and creates a separation between the main compartment and a side compartment. So I had to make sure that these pieces that got added were cut appropriately for keeping that dado intact and allowing that wood to slide in there. So anyway, that being said, these were in clamps on Friday, and I was like, okay, ready to roll, we're good. And I can just keep pushing on over the weekend and start working on fixing these other ones. Because I've got all of these have the same problem. I covered this last Friday. If you want to see, go back and look at episode 78. I explained the whole problem and what stupidity can do for your woodworking. But anyway, that being said, I was ready to move forward, and I got my next piece of wood, which was a piece of hickory. And in order to plane the hickory, I had to, because it's wide and I needed to keep it wide, I couldn't just run it through the jointer first and get a flat side. I had to actually put it onto a sled, which is basically just a big flat board. It's a piece of MDF that I have. And I mounted to that piece of MDF, I put shims under it so it won't rock or anything. And that way I can send it through on that MDF sled through the planer, and that will perfectly clean up the top of that board and make it flat. And then once that's done, I unscrew it and take the shims out, and then I could flip it over and run the other side through without the sled. That's the way you have to do it. If you don't have a very wide jointer to make a flat side, you have to start with one side in the planer. So anyway, I went to go do that. I got it all set up on the sled, and I walked over to my planer and I flipped the switch and nothing happened. It didn't turn on. It's like, oh crud, I blew a fuse somewhere. I'm checking. All the power was good. There was no problem on the electrical outlet side because things plugged into that outlet were still running. So I was like, well, it's not the power. And I went to I was like, maybe it's the cord, maybe it's I don't know. I was checking, it's got a little fuse built in, right? There's a little fuse built into the machine that you can pop. Nothing. It was not popped, it was not anything. And basically, I tried plugging from a different outlet into that one, just trying a different power source, different cord, nothing. So basically my planer was dead. I tried taking it apart and looking to see if I could see any issues or whatever. I found nothing that I could fix in there. Now this planer that I had was a Harbor Freight model from, oh geez, it's got to be about 4 years old. It's I don't even know what their brand was for it. It was their house brand. It's not like the newer ones that they have, which are, I think, Bauer is what they have now. This was their older house brand, and I mean, it was pretty reliable for the time that I had it. Was it the best? No, it wasn't the best planer out there. It had no flip down table, so I always had a piece of melamine that I had to stick in there and use as a in-feed and out-feed table for it. But that being said, it got the job done for me, and I've milled a lot of wood through that planer. So the fact that I was now dead in the water with that switch was just killing me. I didn't know what to do with that. So honestly, I could have, I had all this work to do, and I needed the planer because I bought all this rough stock. I had to plane the rough stock, and I had no other way of doing this. So in order to move forward, I had to buy a new planer, which was not something I was planning on doing. At least not at this point in time. And I didn't really, I didn't have a lot of pre-planning and thought put into buying a planer. If I'm buying a tool, usually I like to do a lot of research and and figure out what would be best in my shop and everything else. I really didn't have that luxury because I needed to move forward and I needed a replacement like right away. So I looked at a couple different places. I was looking online at new planers, just looking for information, and checking Lowe's and Home Depot and Woodcraft, which these are pretty much places local to me that I could pick one up instead of having to wait to have one shipped. I mean, I look on Amazon, you know, they could probably do it in a day, but I was looking for something I could pick up like that day or that weekend, and everything's pretty expensive. I mean, if you're buying something new, it's going to be pretty expensive, right? And so I was like, well, you know, let me see if I can find a used one, because sometimes, you know, perfectly good stuff. I've bought a lot of used equipment. My jointer, I bought that used on Craigslist and stuff. So there's, not saying you can't get good stuff used, right? And maybe I would need to buy some, if I got a planer, it's like maybe it just would need blade replacements or something, right? So something I could replace and have it working pretty well. So I started thumbing through, looking at Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, which Facebook Marketplace is a pretty popular place to list things anymore. It's getting a little junky because there's a lot of like vendor stuff on there now, and you have to know how to sort through things to be able to get the stuff you want and get it in the area that you want. You don't want to necessarily have things shipped to you. If you're looking for local stuff, you have to know how to filter these things so that you're only seeing things that are local to you and everything else. So it's a little challenging using that thing. I think when it first came out, it was really nice, and then they've kind of tried to expand out the reach and capabilities and everything else, and it's becoming really very cluttered and not as intuitive as it was when it first came out. But anyway, that being said, I started looking around in there, and like I said, and on Craigslist, and seeing some used stuff, still kind of expensive for what it was. And I just happened to come across a listing down in Fredericksburg, which is about an hour south of me, for a DeWalt planer that was brand new in the box. And I think I'm trying to remember the model number. I can't remember the model number. I'll get it in a sec. Oh wait, DW734. So it's the DW734. It's not their super big giant Mondo heavy duty one. It's kind of on their lower end of the scale, but it's a triple blade, 12.5 inches wide. I mean, I really wanted something where it was a spiral head with carbide inserts and stuff. That was my plan, like long term, when I replaced my planer. Not this, but something. I'll move forward on that in just a second. But anyway, I needed something right away. This was brand new in the box for $350. Now, if you've priced these things, you'll see that they price anywhere from $460 to $500 brand new in the store and online, and that does not include tax. So you're going to add on another, you know, however much for tax. So it could get a little expensive, but this one was brand new in the box, $350. I'm like texting a guy going, "Hey man, my planer just died. Is this still available? Because I'm interested." And he sent me a message back. He's a really nice guy. Sent me a message back, said, "Yeah, absolutely." And so long story short, I go down there to check it out because I want to make sure, you know, that it is what it is. Because it was a really good price, especially brand new in a box. And so I get down there, and it turns out that he had a buddy who bought one, who had bought a new plane and had the exact same model of the brand new one in a box one. He had the exact same model and told his buddy, it's like, "You can have this one for $200. It's almost new. And then you can send your other one back or whatever." He's like, "Sweet." He bought that from his buddy. So he had this one new in the box. He was trying to send it back to, I can't remember who it was from, some online company. And they were like, "Well, yeah, but it's going to cost you $85 to return it." And he's like, "Why would I pay $85?" And they're like, "Well, there's nothing wrong with it. So you just changed your mind. That's not on us to take it back." So anyway, unlike Amazon, where if you don't like it, you just say, "Hey, I don't want this," and they'll take it back. So he said, "You know what? Screw it. I'll just sell it." So he sold it to me. A really nice guy, like I said. He's also an X-Carve guy, so we chatted about X-Carves and such. I saw his really nice X-Carve setup that he has. He does a lot of signs and stuff with his X-Carve. So got to meet a fellow woodworker, and I was able, sorry, I'm shaving some, I'm distracted. And I was able to pick up a new planer, which I have, hang on, so there's my new planer right there. So there you go. So that's the DeWalt right there. It actually has, now, this is the only thing I don't understand. So it has flip down tables, right? So flip down table there, flip down table here. So in feed, out, this is the out feed. This is the only thing I don't understand. Riddle me this. This table right here, this in feed, flips all the way up, right? For storage. Nice. This one flips all the way up to the point where it hits the dust collection. And I'm still not exactly sure. Now this planer is all the way up as well. And you're like, well, I guess I could take the dust collection thing off. But in order to take dust collection off, you have to actually take off one screw here, one screw on this side, and one screw on the bottom. You have to take 3 screws off to get this piece to come off for this table to fold all the way up. I'm just like, well, that's just the dumbest thing ever. So I'm not sure why the design is this way, where you have a flip-up table that it doesn't flip up. So I don't know. That's a little perplexing to me. The other issue I have is, so if you remember my planer, if you've been here before, my planer is mounted on this flip top cart. My 12-inch disc sander is on the bottom of this, and I just loosen these star nuts right here and the whole thing will flip upside down. And then I'll have a different tool on top. So it's, for me, it's a way of maximizing storage. This is taller than my old planer. It should fit underneath there, but it will be very close. I might have to take this handle off to get it to sit under there. And I haven't tried yet. So I'm a little worried that it won't fit under my table here. So that's a little worrisome. I did mount it to the surface here. But anyway, I plugged it in, got it set up, and I was like, well, you know what? I've got this piece of hickory already mounted to the sled, and let's go ahead and run it through and see how it works. And wow. I didn't know how, I won't say bad, but how inferior my old planer was until I used this new planer with like a triple blade, and holy mackerel, it did a beautiful job. Now they make a model that's up one level from this. It's about $100 more, I think, 150 more, which is a 2-speed model. So I think the rationale behind that is that the high speed is for planing things down and thicknessing, and then the lower speed is for finishing. So if you do your final pass, where you can do a finish pass on here, where it goes through slower, so the blades cut more times per inch, and it gives a smoother finish. So that really not that important to me. But holy mackerel, this thing is beautiful and accurate. So this is the hickory I milled up, and you can see I've got 4 of them here that I milled these up. They're thin, they're 1/4 of an inch. I mean, it's accurate. It was such a joy to use, and this stuff is a pain in the butt. Remember, this hickory is really, really hard on tools. So I was really super pleased with that. The other really nice feature on this is that it has a bar that you can, as you lower your work, or you lower the head down to make the cuts, it has a bar that you can lock in place, and it keeps the head locked to the stanchions, to the whatever, the gears and everything. It locks it to the stand so that you minimize any snipe that you get. And snipe is basically when it feeds in and feeds out, that head moves a little bit because of the pressure of it coming through the rollers, and then it flattens out, and then you get a little bit on the backside sometimes. So like my old one, I had to account for about 2 to 2.5 inches on the front and the back of snipe for every board that I did. This one was just very minimal snipe thanks to that lockdown feature. So another plus. So for $350, I think, you know, on a tool that is really much better than the one I had. Plus it has the in-feed and out-feed, so I don't have to use my piece of melamine fitting through there. And yeah, I was super thrilled. So, but like pretty much my whole weekend was shot trying to get that and get it set up, and you know, trying to arrange to find one and be able to go pick it up, because it was basically about 3 hours out of my day just to go down to Fredericksburg, fighting traffic and, oh my God, traffic on 95 South. And it's so ridiculous. But anyway, so happy I was able to get that. And I think it's going to be a really nice addition to my shop. I'm very pleased with it. And I was able to move forward and get this, like I said, this hickory is done. Now I have all these others to do. I have so much to do with this stuff, but I got the hickory milled up. It looks great. I also, while I was milling the hickory, I needed to keep some of the pieces thicker. So after I got the big board done, before I made these, I cut some triangular pieces. So you can see these are actually 2 triangles. These are the corner inserts. So I've got 2 hickory bases that are going to be done. So this is hickory for the corners. So I put corner pieces in here. There'll be smaller pieces like this, and they'll fit in the corners, and they provide the support for the machines as they sit in the bases. So I always need thicker pieces. I don't like to do it on 1/4 or on 3/4 inch stock, because when you cut a triangle out of that, it excuse me, it's kind of small. So I like to use a little thicker stock to get a little bigger triangle cut. And so I got those done, and I got these 4 pieces done because, like I said, I have 2 hickory bases. So I need a 1/4 inch, like you can see on this one, there is a 1/4 inch added to each side. So I got those done, and I still have all the other boards to do. I've got some oak to do, I've got some cherry to do. I think that's pretty much it. So anyway, but yeah, super thrilled with the new planer. Just, that was awesome. Really happy about that. What else is going on? So the other thing I did this weekend, just to kind of catch you up on weekend happenings, was I took photos of the knockdown table that I had made, and I've listed that on my Facebook page. And I think I have photos here. So let me see if this works for you, because I think I have this set up here. And I have to go to the photos right there. So let's see if that's showing the photos. I need to see if that's actually showing them to you. So hang on a second. It should switch over in a second. There we go. So these are the photos that I took of the knockdown table. I've said this before, I'll say it again. When you're trying to sell something, if you're making things and you want to sell them, take time to make decent photographs of your products. Don't just, I mean, so much garbage photos out there of people selling products. It's like, you know, think about what you would like to buy, and then it doesn't take much. I took all these with my iPhone, and then I just came in and processed them and did stuff. But you can see I try to take from a lot of different angles because I want to show off all the features. So this is the machine, or the table with the proper machine in there. That's what's called a featherweight machine. Super popular machines for quilters and such. Take a picture from the top so they can see how it looks from the top down. This is the side. I'm trying to show off all of the hardware and such, the joinery, how this thing connects. You know, so they can see the spacing that goes around the machine. And then, you know, the large work surface and the beauty of the wood. I want to show it off. I want to make it look nice, right? That's the whole point. Make it look nice. Make it look like, you know, this is something that I want to buy, especially since, you know, it's not listed for cheap. But showing the underneath side so they can see how that looks. Oh, did I skip one? I think I skipped one. So showing, you know, from different angles and showing the hardware, because this is really nice. These are brass hinges. They're lay flat brass hinges, kind of styled after sewing machine hinges. And so these are really kind of make it look unique and add a little sense of style to it. So there's another shot of a hinge. Here is the cross braces showing how they slide in and the table sits on top of that. And yeah, so there's one without the machine in there so they can see what the table looks like without the machine. And here's the cross braces. The machine actually sits on these cross braces inside of that hole right there. And then finally showing how it breaks down and sits into stackable pieces, so you can, it's not really like what I would call super portable, but it knocks down. It's a knockdown table. So you can take it, fold them up, take these individual pieces, and I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, separate pieces that you can move this thing around if you want to. But anyway, so that's what I did. I took all those photos, and I wanted to be able to show this thing off in my Facebook page. Let me go back now. Go back normal. So I did that. Like I said, really important if you're going to do any sort of stuff to sell. Try to really put yourself in an advantageous position by making good photos. One thing I found is that the more photos you take, the less questions you get. If you're showing off the little details and stuff, you're basically giving people the information they need, because they can see, well, what kind of joiner is it using? How, what does it look like from the back, from the side? All these different things that if I was going to buy something, I would want to know. And I try to, when I take photographs of my projects, I try to take them from as many different angles and show as many different aspects as I can, so that when it comes time for questions, there really are very few. And so to me, that's what's really important. But I know when I'm looking for stuff, if I see crappy pictures, somebody just grabbed their phone and they're blurry and they're just whatever, I just keep moving. I don't take the time, because I figure, if they can't take the time to take a good photograph, I can't tell how good their item is to see if I want to buy it. It may be great, but I can't tell from the photos, and I'm not gonna waste my time, trying to ask them, hey, can you get a better picture of this or whatever. It's like, no, if it's not that important to them, it's not that important to me, and I'll move on and find something else. So give yourself that advantage of taking good photographs. Your stuff will sell so much better than bad photographs. So anyway, I did that this weekend too. I took photographs and did that. And then I also got on my bike and rode a little bit yesterday. I did some trail riding yesterday, and I scraped up my arm right here, and it's no big deal. I hit a tree, rubbed a tree as I went by. The skinny pass through, and it said hello on my forearm here, but otherwise it was really a lot of fun and good time. So all right, that was my weekend. Moving forward, we've got things to do here, and so a couple different places where I'm at right now. So this thing right here, this is the one that I finished. This one is in walnut, so it's up a little bit here. Let me turn this camera on here. I don't think I've turned this camera on. Beep, beep, beep. There we go. I think camera 4 is on now. So you can see that I've got these little raised edges right here. So like right over here and here. So these need to be shaved down. There's a couple different ways I could do this. I could do it the fast way, which is to take a flush trim bit, like I did when I was talking about how I put a new laminate surface on, and you can use a flush trim. I could use a flush trim bit on here, but I would be afraid of chipping or doing anything else to the rest of the wood. But what I can do is, honestly, I can take my hand plane and just kind of plane off these little sections here. So these will need to be shaved down, and then we can move forward from there. The other thing I need to do is, so this aside, actually this is the piece that goes inside, just so you can see that this, maybe fits in here. I might need to trim this down, it should fit in here. I think it goes this way. There we go. So this fits in here. So this will be the next thing that goes in. I don't want to mess with it right now because it'll be a little tight, and I can measure it and get this cut down after I get the sides done. I have to get the sides down first, and then we'll do the inside. But this one, pretty much, I'm good with this. I need to find a place to put it. There we go. Okay, so what I need to do now is get a hickory base. Let's grab this one because it's here. So I've got a hickory base right here, and that's where these pieces will come in play. So I'm going to be mounting these inside, cutting them to the correct length, and then we will get these put in and glued in here. So I cut them a little long so you can see these are, the base is this long. So I've got probably a couple of inches of extra, which is fine. I did that on purpose. By the way, this wood was this was another piece of hickory that I bought last week, but I don't know if you can see this. This stuff has, I sent this through the planer and all of a sudden this beautiful figure came out in this thing. This thing has some really, it's hard to see on here, but just really beautiful, like tiger, it looks like tiger maple almost. It's just this beautiful figure in here. So it's not going to match perfectly, but it is the right species and stuff. So when I put these in here, it'll hopefully line up. The big thing with the hickory is you'll notice, well, here I can show you on this one. So you'll notice on here that there are, trying to get it so you can see this difference in the wood color and toning here. So you see here, this is much lighter. This is sapwood. This is heartwood. The heartwood is much darker, right? So you can see that's a very dark, and then there's a little bit of that up here. Well, when I have these bases right here, I want to make sure that if I'm, and here's a nice example right there. So you can see this one actually has both colors on here. But what I want to do is on this side, the tops of these rails right here, these side rails, are basically sapwood. So this is the lighter color wood here. So I want to make sure when I'm grabbing these pieces to cut that I'm using a light color to kind of match that at the top. And then I've got like a darker one here. I've got a couple with darker sides to it because the other base I have actually has more of this dark wood on the sides here. And so I wanted to kind of make sure that I was matching up the wood tones to best, you know, fit inside here. So a couple things I can do. I can actually plane another board and make some more thin ones for another base. I have oak and cherry that I still need to, oak and cherry. Yeah, I've got a couple of oaks and a couple cherries, I think. So let me see what I need here. I'm gonna just walk around for a second. I've got another, this is an oak right here. So here's an oak. And I've got a cherry over here on the side. So that's an oak and a cherry. And then the other ones are sitting over on the side over here. So hang on a second. I'm gonna go take a look and see. So you can see like, oh, here's another oak. And here is the other hickory right here. So that's the other hickory. Then there's another cherry. So I have, oh, I didn't realize I had two cherries. So I've got two cherries. There we go. There's another cherry right there. So I have two cherries, two oaks, and two hickories to do. I had a shorter hickory base. I didn't have the side compartment, but I kind of screwed something up on that one when I was trying to figure out how to fix this problem. And so that one is now going to be a donor base. I'm going to use the wood in that one as a donor for a new base that I'm going to make from the leftover wood that was on here. So it's going to give its life for another project. But these are the ones I have to work with. So I've got the wood cut for this one. I've got the wood cut for the other hickory over there. So two hickories done. I still need oak and I need cherry, which means I need basically four more pieces like this, but from those wood species. So to do that, let's look over here and see what we've got. So I'm going to do those over here. And let me move Mr. Computer out of the way because I don't want it getting knocked off. I'm going to move this. So the other thing I need is I need corner pieces. Like I said, I had corner pieces that I needed. So I'm going to need those corner pieces as well. And I like to do that as long as I've got thick boards, I can go ahead and make more corner pieces. So I need to dig through my, my stacks of wood over here and find the boards that I need. I've got a lot of wood stacked up over here. So hang on just a second while I fish through my boards. Oh, don't want to do that. There we go. So I'm going to fish through all these boards. And of course, my walnut, or not the walnut, but the oak is down at the bottom. I'm also going to need to cut a piece of walnut to make corners for that one that you see up top there. That's not a big deal. Okay, so here is a Mondo piece of white oak. Oh, all right, so here's a piece of white oak, pretty large, all right? And let me lower this blade so I can use this as a tabletop for the moment. There we go, so there's a piece of white oak. And then I will also need a piece of cherry. So let me look down underneath here. Here we go. And here is a nice piece of cherry. So here's a piece of cherry. There we go. Try not to trip over all of my boards that I've got down here. I've got a lot of wood down here. A lot of wood in the way, but I'm always got enough to do another one of those scrap projects that I did with the where I made the cutting board out of scraps. I've got so much scrap down here. Anyway, here is a piece of cherry and a piece of oak. I mean, obviously these are very large boards, so I should not have a problem getting what I need out of these. These are also pretty flat in terms of, like, there's not a lot of warpage and stuff to these. So I'm thinking, since I've got the boards, and the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten one side, and then I will flatten one side this way and then one edge, and then I can actually run these through the saw and do my pre-cut for resawing them into thinner pieces. Because remember, they only need to be 1/4 inch, and this thing as it stands right now, well, let's see, is a little over an inch. So this is an inch and a 1/16. So, but when you flatten it, you're going to lose a little bit. So it's about an inch. It's 4/4 wood. Same thing with the walnut. And if I don't lose too much stock out of it, I can get those nice clean pieces out of there. So 2 ways to do this. I can do this with I can cut a strip and get, and then take it over to the jointer and get a flat edge and a flat side. I can do it that way. Or I can use my, my board that I use for a sled, and we can do it that way, which means I would need to secure this to the sled, feed it through the planer over here, and then we will get a nice flat edge. Then I can flip it over, flatten the other side, and then just flatten one edge. I might do that just to show you how that works with a sled, because this is really, like, this is what you would do if you don't have a jointer, or if you've got boards that are too wide for your jointer. Like if I needed to use this whole piece of wood, I need this whole width. My jointer is only 6 inches wide. So I can't use my jointer to flatten one side of this before sending it through the planer. I need to basically be able to put this on a reference board, which is what the sled is. I use a reference board, I mount it to the board, I send it through the planer. That gives me one really nice flat side, and then I can take it off of the sled and then flip it over and then run it through, because it'll already have a flat side. That flat side becomes the reference for the other side. I don't know if that makes sense or not. But let me see, where is my drill? I need my drill. And I don't know where I put it. I know where my driver is, but I don't know where my drill is. Because like I said, I was doing a lot of stuff this week, and a lot of stuff was getting moved around. I think, oh, there it is. I used it to mount this thing. So I gotta get, hang on just a second. I have not disappeared. I'm still here. I'm just getting my drill bit put away. Oh, that's my driver bits. Where are my drill bits? I need one drill bit here. Here's my driver bits. I'm gonna put this away so I don't lose it. This is a really handy little pack of driver bits. I got our drill bits. That's made by DeWalt. It's kind of like just standard size ones, but it's a nice little case and it kind of keeps things organized. And you can pick these up for pretty cheap at your local home store. So I've had good luck with using those. I'm using a driver that actually has the, it does the, I can't remember what you call that thing. Basically, it makes a little flared out hole at the end, so when you're using your screws, you know, your flathead has a place to go. All right, I need to get my board here. So we'll start with this oak one because it's pretty burly, right? I'm gonna get my board. Now this board is pretty large. It's much larger than I need, but I don't want to cut it down because I kind of need all that space. So I need to, I've got stuff on the end here, hang on. I need to create space for this on my table for it to at least fit over here. I'm running out of room, people, running out of room. All right, there we go. So this is my, my sled. It's just a piece of MDF that has been cut down to a dimension that is long and allows me to put my boards on here. I gotta make sure this is not too wide too. But it's a really nice flat surface. And that's the nice thing about MDF is that it's really super flat. And this is going to allow me to have a really nice, you know, I'm looking at my grain direction to see which way. This is kind of, I don't know, all over the place here. Let's try this side. All right, I'm gonna turn this around. I mean, I can always flip the board, but if I can get it running through in one direction to start with, that's what I want to do. So I'm gonna put this kind of like in the middle, just to give me some extra room here to work around. And what I want to do is have this on here, and I'm going to look to see how it fits on here. I got to see if there's any high spots, because if there are, I need those high spots to be shimmed. Like right under here, there's nothing that supports that. So I have all these little flat pieces of scrap right here that I got, and I'm going to start sticking these in here to shim up this area down here because I want it flat. Because when I drive a screw in here, I don't want this, because there's high spots under here, I don't want this to be tipping like that as it's running through the planer. So now you can see that that is super flat. It's not going to move anywhere. Some people will just use, don't like that cut though. Some people just use hot glue to glue these down to their sleds. I use a couple of screws in the end. I just toenail them right into the end, and I have a lot of luck with that. So I just get my little thing here, and I'm going to, let me center this on this board here. Here, I kind of come in and then angle down as I go. Hang on. And then I grab a screw, it's basically a wood screw, and get my driver. Because the thing is, you don't want this moving on the sled. You want it to be locked in. So there you go. This is now locked into this side right here. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other end, where my shims are. Come down here. Now this is shifted over, so I need to move this back so that it's perfectly centered. And then do the same thing here. And then put a screw in. Now I don't have to, and these are nice and tight in there. Might stick one more in here. Let's see if I got, yeah, got room for one more, just to make sure that this thing is not gonna, no, this is good right here. I just want to make sure it's not going to shift or move. Anyway, I don't worry about the screw in there because I'm not planing that much material off. I'm just planing a tiny bit of material off here just to get this flat, and then I'll take the screws out. So it's never in danger of actually hitting the planer as I send this thing through. Let me get the planer set up here. So we will be on this camera for that. And I've got my outfeed table here because this is kind of long, so I do need to run my outfeed here. And dust collection, this thing's kind of, hang on a second. Got things running around and need to have this turned. I think will be better. So I got to turn my vacuum around so I got as much hose length as I can get here. There we go. This rubber cup on here, this is a 1.5 inch to 2 inch converter thing here, which fits on the end of their hose here. It was kind of made so it would sort of fit the end of this, not the small piece, but you can take this off. It would fit this piece on here, but it was just kind of loose. So this was from the old planer I had here, and you can get these in your plumbing section. They're just little rubber things, and they have these metal hose clamps on them, so you can make it tighter or looser. But this is really nice because I can get a nice tight fit there for my hose, and I've got really good dust collection that way. So, all right, the other thing I need to do is lower this thing down. That's the other thing too, is look how smooth this is. It's just like so smooth moving down here. It's so nice to use. My other one was like crank, crank. This thing is like buttery smooth, so very happy to see that. I'm gonna grab this big board and bring it over. I got it in the direction it needs to go. Now this is really heavy because I've not only got the board, but I've got the MDF. So it's really stinking heavy. And yeah, I'm gonna have to move this whole thing forward just a little bit here. Oh, hang on. Because I need a little bit more room here. Means I need to slide this back. That's the only problem with having it on this really long piece of MDF is that, well, I need space to get it in here. And also, it needs to come over a little bit. There we go. So this will fit through like that. So now I can lower this down to get it close. And then we can run this through. But if you don't have a joiner, this is the best way I have found to get your boards flat on both sides. Because remember, you want it to be flat, but you need those flat sides to be parallel to each other too. So I'm going to get my hearing protection and get my need my remote. Where did I put that? There it is. Now, hopefully I don't blow the cameras out and like blow the fuse. I'm going to take very light cuts to start with. So that's how we're going to work with this stuff, because this is very hard. It's white oak, so very light cuts, and we will just start this process off here very gently. Whoop. All right, what did I do with my remote? Oh, there it is. All right. The last cut, I actually lowered the piece down, or the lowered the lock down, because I was getting snipe up here, but by lowering it down and locking it, I got very, very, very minimal stuff. But anyway, this is, that's what it looks like now. Nice and finished, really super flat. And I can take this over to, a second here. Boop, there we go. So I can take this over here now and remove those screws, remove it from the table or from the sled, and then flip it over and flatten the other side. And so now we have one really nice flat surface here. And that's going to be my reference surface for turning this thing over and running it through the planer on the other side. And that's always the plan, is to, if you need to flatten, two sides without a jointer, typically you do this on a jointer, but my jointer is not that wide. So I did this using the sled, and that is really a nice surface. And then I can flip it over now. I've got a nice board that I can use and run this through. And I have to make sure it's running the right direction. It's kind of hard. I've got some wavy grain going on here, but I'm going to go through this way like this. And yeah, so I can finish this up now. Whenever you're planing hard wood and you're running it through a planer, you've got really wide boards, you're gonna stress your planer out. I mean, unless you've got like a really, I gotta get that. Unless you've got a really super duper motor, like a 3-horse motor or whatever on there, you're running a 220 setup or whatever, you're gonna stress it out. So try to take really light cuts on hard wood. It's just gonna be a lot easier on your planer. So I'm gonna now lower this down because I've lost my sled. Oops, I gotta unlock it. See, it didn't wanna move. I'm gonna lower this down because I don't have my sled anymore. So I need to recapture this info, and has a little gauge down here, so it'll show you how thick your cut is. I try to only go like a 64th to do the light cuts, but all right, that looks good. Let's go ahead and run out and get this other side done. Okay, so let me show you what I got here, and then I'll tell you what the plan is. Let me see if I can I hit that button from here? Boop. Oh, I did, look at that, what skill. So here's the plan. I've got this down to the point where it's perfectly flat on this side, right? From one end to the other, nice and flat. Down here, there is a low spot down here, and you can hopefully see that this right here has not been planed. It's much lower. It's at the end of the board. Now, I need to get some boards out of here. I don't want it to get too thin to where I can't get my boards out of here. So I need to look at this, because right now I'm at 7/8. I need 1/4 inch boards. So if you think about it, at 1/4 of an inch, plus I need an 1/8 of an inch for the kerf. So that's at 3/8. And then add another 1/4 to that. That puts me at 6/8. That leaves me an 1/8 of an inch to play with if I don't do anything else to this. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm not going to worry about this end because at some point in time, the rest of this wood is going to get knocked down to 3/4 of an inch. That'll take care of all that wood down there. But I want the thicker boards to do what I need to do with right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick an edge that is as straight as I can possibly find one, which is going to require minimal jointing to get a flat one. And this one's looking a little warpy. I don't know how straight that edge is. This edge looks a little straight. It's got a couple of knotty things in here. It's going to be hard to get one of these perfect. This one actually might be the better one to do. I'm going to get a straight flat edge on here, and then I'm going to work on getting my pieces cut out to the size that I need. Remember, I need 2 of these things. So that's going to be, I get 2 out of each board, and these are 20 inches long. So for this particular area right here, if you say about 20 inches, that's going to be right here. And they need to be, you know, we'll just call it 6 inches. We're going to call it 6 inches right here. So I need, give or take, right about to right here. I'm going to need to cut 2 pieces of wood out about this wide. That's going to leave me some wood down here to work with, but I need at least this much to make those side pieces. Okay, so I'm going to make a flat edge, and then we will cut these out, and I'll show you how that's going to happen. This is what I did with the last one. It was pretty successful. So what I'm going to do is bring this over to my jointer. I'm going to slide this out of the way a little bit. I got so much wood shavings around here. This is ridiculous. I need a long pokey stick so I can change cameras. That's what I need. There we go. Long pokey stick to do camera changes. All right. We're going to come back over here. My jointer is kind of living over here on the side, so I'm going to just get an angle on this so I can feed these boards through here. I need to get a flat edge. This is my flat edge. And we're going to reference on the side here. So we're just going to run it through like this, get a flat edge, and then we can use this on the table saw. All right. So that is a nice clean edge now. We'll switch cameras here in a second. All right, so that's a nice clean edge. I changed my depth setting on my jointer there kind of halfway through to just take a little bit more aggressive cut because it doesn't have to be super fine. So we'll just get this in here. But I have a nice reference side now. So I have a reference edge. And what I can do now is I can do this one of two ways. I can cut this side off here and just cut this off and make it nice and clean. Or I can not worry about that. But I think I'm going to go ahead and do that because I've got a lot of knotty wood and stuff right here anyway. Do I really want to do that? It's a lot of wood to lose. I've got this extra wood down here. And right here, if I was to cut that off, it'd be like 11 inches. Half an inch there. Yeah, so if I did that, I could set this to 11 inches and take that off of here. I think I'm going to do that, which means I have to move some stuff around here. So, got to move some stuff around. Oh, that's close. I just sent things crashing to the ground. But is what it is. Not a lot of room going on right now on all my surfaces being taken up. All right. So I'm going to get this set up here. I need to move my planer sled. I'll get my little shims. The shims are important. I don't want to lose these shims. I mean, I know they look like little broken pieces of wood, but they really do make a difference when you're putting this on your sled. So let me go ahead and get this out of the way. I'm just going to stand it up behind me. Let's get this out of the way. All right, let me stand this up over here. Just like that. Lovely. And I need to set my saw depth on here. See, I've got all these tools and stuff in the way. It's just like so much stuff. So much stuff in the way here. All right, let's get this saw blade set up here so we get the right height. We've got 11 inches set up on the thing here. I mean, I didn't check with the ruler. I probably should just to make sure, but that's 11 inches. That's pretty good. So my little gauge thing is pretty accurate here. All right, and I'm just going to run this through. I have to move some stuff on my table though. Oh, so much going on in the shop. It's like my little shop is getting smaller and smaller because I've got so much stuff going on here. I need my dust collection, first of all. I got to hook it up to the table because this will make a lot of dust on the table saw. So get that hooked up. And I need to move this base out of the way. Don't know where I'm going to put it, but we're going to get it moved out of the way. And I need to move all this other stuff because as I feed this through, obviously I need a place for it to go. Where did my other, there we go. And this over here with this base. And I'm just going to try to get some stuff cleaned up out of the way here before we send this board through because I need space on my workbench here for it to actually get pushed into. So these can go with this one as well. So I'm just kind of cleaning up some space here, making some room. I'm going to throw these over here, I guess. The CNC table gets a lot of stuff stacked on it from time to time as well. I don't need this right now. I think this is good. Okay. I'm going to put my J roller from my laminate stuff in my toolbox on the side here. Definitely don't need that. So really what I'm looking for is do I have enough room for this to run out and not hit anything down here? I think we're good. I think we've got that covered. Right here, let me get my push pad. And we will just go ahead and get this cut. Am I plugged in? I believe I am plugged in, so let's go. All right, and a nice scrap piece right there on the floor with the rest of the scrap pieces. Okay, so now I've got this lovely piece right here. I'm going to need to get a couple of pieces out of here. Now, let me measure exactly how much thickness I need for these things, because I don't want to cut deeper into this than I have to. So for this piece right here, I'm going to need 2 9/16. So we'll call that 2 and what do we call that? 5/8. And then for the other one, I'm going to need, and walk over here and find the other base. Oh, come here, Mr. Base. For this one, I need a little over, so I need 2 7/8 for this one. So 2 7/8, also not as long, and 2 5/8 for this one. I'm going to cut that out of this end of the board. 2 5/8, and yeah, because I'm also thinking of the 4 corners that I need to get cut out. And where do I want to cut those from? I think I'm going to cut those from the other side, from the long pieces down there. I'm going to try to save as much wood down here. This is really pretty grain, so I want to save this for additional projects. There's no sense, I'm not trashing this whole board just to fix these. I'm trying to use as little scrap as necessary. So what I'm going to do, I think I got this now. Got it figured out. All right. So 2 5/8 for this long one. And the reason is that this one has a little bit shallower base to it, so that's why it's kind of like that. So I'm going to set up a cut for 2 5/8. Now what I do is I run this through, and I'm going to visually look at my cut line here that I said I need, what, 20 inches? So I'm going to run that through until I see the top of the saw hit my 20-inch mark. And then I'm going to stop it, and then I will use a hand saw to cut that straight down and finish the cut this way and remove that piece of wood. I'll then cut my next one out doing the exact same thing with a hand saw cutting it out. So let's do this first one. Let me make sure this is 20 inches right here. And it's a little shy of 20 because I lost a little bit of space here. So I definitely want to go 20 inches on this. It's more than I need, but it's definitely, you know, I'd rather go have a little extra to work with. And that's my plan here, is to have a little bit of extra wood to work with. So I'm going to mark my 20-inch line on here. And that's how far I'm going to take this saw blade at 2 5/8 inches wide. Right here, 2 5/8 inches. Let me just double check that. So we will be cutting 2 5/8, and that is more than enough. Well, is it? I'm going to go a 1/16 more, just to give myself just a little bit of extra. I've got the wood to use, so I'm going to do that. Just going a 1/16 extra. All right. So here is, whoops, wait a second. You know what? I know what I did. So, saddle square. Where's my saddle square? Here it is. So what I'm going to do is, instead of running it through this side, I'm going to move this over and cut it off of the edge of the board this way. And that's just an easier way to do it. Now, to do that, though, I need to have this measurement marked on here. so that I can line it up with the saw blade. So let me get my ruler down here. We were 2 5/8 plus a 16th. So we were right here. And then I will use my saddle here to draw that line right here. Ooh, I seem to have nicked that. That's not good. I need to clean that off with a sandpaper or something. I just nicked this, I think using my saw. Not good. Not smart, Jeffrey. Not smart. But this is aluminum, so it does clean up a little bit. There we go. I just had a little burr. Okay. So I've got my line there. So now what I need to do is move this back this way and figure out where that actually will come to on here. So we need to come over a little bit more. I have back a touch more. There. Right there. That's too much. Right there. Okay, that's where we're going to go. We're going to cut this down until I see it just touching the line that I drew right here going across. I'm not going to go all the way through. It's not a long cut, just that portion right there. Okay, so that's the cut that I needed. Now, it is longer on the bottom than it is on the top because obviously the saw blade is curved. So whatever's at the bottom down here is going to be as long as that. But that's why I took it through here. Then I will get my saw. And this doesn't have to be perfect. And it rarely ever is. But what I'll do is I'll get my saddle square again. I'm going to go to this line right here. And I'm just going to draw it across because that's my cut line. And I think I'm going to take this over to put it into a clamp. Probably the best way to do this is to clamp it. So let me go over to here. Let's just switch cameras. And I'm going to run this into here and put it into table clamp here, just to hold it while I saw on this thing. There we go. And I'm just going to follow this line. Actually, I need to draw that line down here too, so it gives me something to follow. So let's see. Put it on here. And that way I have a line to follow on both sides here. I can actually extend that line all the way down to my cut here. Let's extend this all the way down to the cut. So you can see how much further it went on this side than it did on the other side. The other side, it's right, the cut ends at this line, but up here, because that blade is coming down, that leading edge cuts further in than the top of the saw blade does. But anyway, we're going to get the saw here, and we're just going to try to make this straight. It's just a little Japanese pull saw here. And then you can kind of just try to follow your line down. I might actually, let me flip the side here because this is a little more aggressive on this side. not the straightest of cuts. This is why I don't do hand cut dado joints or dovetail joints, because my handsaw skill is not perfect, but this is a great little saw. So pull saws, I love pull saws over push saws, American standard like type push saws. I love these much better. So I'm gonna hold this while I finish this cut down here. There we go. So there we go. There's my little nice little cut edge. That's all I need. Now I need more. This is just the one that's going to be for this long base, but I need one for the short base as well. So we're going to take this back over to the table saw after we do a measurement. I don't need a piece that's that long. I need about a, I don't know, 17-inch piece. We'll go measure it if I can find my thing here. So we need a shorter piece for this base here. Let me pull the base up so you can see. Put you over here. You'll see what we were measuring here. So here is the short base. And for this one, I need even less, 14, should be 14 3/4 inches, but it's a little less than that. So yeah, we're going to say 15 inches is fine for this one. So I need a piece that is 15 inches. I can cut that 15 inches off of this end of the board. Get this out of the way again. All these pieces will be custom fit into the bases and then glued. But until then, let me make some space here. All right, so for this one, it's going to be, I'm going to make my mark down here at 15 inches. So you can see not nearly as deep. And we said this one was a little deeper though. Let me get the depth and the width on this one. So for this one, it needs to be 2 7/8 is what I need. So 2 7/8. And we're not even done with these boards. This is my whole process, because I'm gonna resaw these into 2 boards. So this, like this piece right here, is going to be 2 boards, not 1. It's going to be 2. Same with this one. It's going to be 2 boards. But let's mark my thing here. 2 7/8. So this should be here. And then 2 7/8. Let me get my saddle here. Now I do have this little thing where I screwed in, so I'm probably maybe need to go a little bit deeper on this one, but that's okay. So 2 7/8. Let me get that line marked here so I know where to line this up. I can go a little bit longer on this. I mean, it's not like I don't have the wood, right? So I can go longer on it. So we're going to say right here. What I'm trying to do is keep as much width on this side as I can. But I don't know that, I didn't get 6 inches out of it, so I don't know that that's really even necessary. But anywho, let's go ahead and line this up on the saw. That's going to give me a line like that. And this. So there's my line. I'm going to rethink that width or that length again, because I do have this little area right here. I probably want to cut that off. So at 15, that's at least, I'm going to go, you know what, let's just go 16 inches on this. What the hell? We're going to go 16 just because it's, it just gives me enough leeway to get around that screw that I put in to put this on the sled. Just a little bit of leeway. All right. Same thing, running it up the saw. I'm going to get this lined up with my cut marks here. There. that perfectly lined up, bring my fence over, and we'll start adjusting. That looks pretty good right there. We're going to lock that in. We'll do the exact same thing, and we'll cut this board off. We're going to come back here once we're done with this, and we're going to resaw these, sort of. So let's get this cut, and then we will move forward. I think this is not going to hit that. Yeah, that's clear. Okay, here we go. Okay, there's my cut. We'll bring it over here. We'll stick it in the clamp here. I'll cut that off. And then we'll have our two boards that need to be resawed. So let me stick this in here. I'm going to draw these lines down so that we get as straight a cut as I can get with a handsaw. Let's see how straight that cut's going to get. Actually, I need to take it out of here, get some space. So first of all, we need to do right here. I need my saddle. Bring this line across, and then I can carry it over to the other side. This is why a saddle square is so nice, is you can just get it lined up. You know, I put my pencil on my line, and I slide the square up to my pencil, and then just trace on the other side, and it's so nice. So now I've got that done. I've got a line to use. I actually can take this line and extend it on down. This and extend this line all the way down to my cut mark there. Now I've just got a reference that I can see. Put this in my here. And we will try to, I'm going to start with the fine edge. The fine edge just starts cuts a little bit better. And we're just gonna, I'll switch it out and use the a little bit more robust side here. Yeah, I'm a little crooked. Come on. Not straight. Like I said, not my forte. I am way off. So we'll have to work with that. What is going on here? It's kind of clamping my, hang on a second. I got to loosen this. Bring it up here a little bit. Tighten up again. Kind of got a little twist going on here, so. Get off of there. I screwed this up a little bit. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. Screwed it up a little bit. I just can't cut straight with a handsaw. It's just an issue. I'm trying to clean it up. And then, there we go. All right. Well, not a perfectly straight line. The second one was better, or the first one was better. But you know what? It is what it is. We got it done. That's all that matters, because it really has no bearing on what we're going to do next. I am going to cover these blades up. Got little plasticky things right here that slide over, and I'm going to put this out of the way. Now imagine I have to do this for every species of wood. I have to do this, so I'm going to have to do this with the cherry as well. But then I should be in good shape. I still have to cut my triangles like these. I have to cut those out of this as well. So that's also to come. But for right now, we are going to leave this board aside, and I'm going to do some resawing on these, because that's how we do. So we're going to resaw these. I really should have just cut these the same width. It would have been a lot easier. I don't know what I was thinking. But, you know, it's always easier to go back and say, oh, this would have been a much easier way to do it than like when you're in the moment. Not always as easy in the moment to visualize sometimes the best way to do things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this, see how wide it is. So 2.9115, 9110. And what I'm doing is I'm going to find the center point, and then I'm going to split that in half. So what did I say here? What's a good measurement here? We're just going to go with 2.921. 0.921 divided by 2, and that gives me 0.146 as a center line. So I'm just going to find 146. 14605 to be exact, which I actually could dial that in here, but I don't have to be that exact because we're not going to take it right in the middle. We're going to I'm just getting that reference point, and then I'm going to move the line off a little bit. So this should be about halfway for each way, and it is. And now I'm going to add about 1/4 of an inch onto here. I like to leave about 1/4 of an inch on each side, so I'm just going to mark that right here as 1/4 of an inch. And then that's going to tell me how, because that leaves me a 1/2 inch of wood in the middle, and you'll see what I mean. But that will give me a line that is, so 1.1965. Interesting. Anyway, I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to draw a little line on here that shows me where that line is. So I drew a little line on the side of my board. I'm going to use that to set the depth of my saw blade so that at no point does the tooth go above that line. Should be just below or at that line. So I'm going to check all the teeth like this one, a little higher. Not all the teeth are the same height. So you want to check if you need something that's a specific depth on your stuff. You want to make sure that you're getting it and measuring for every single tooth, like if there's 3 different types of teeth, make sure you do a measurement so you can see that all the teeth are hitting that mark and none of them are going deeper than what you want. The last thing I need to do is find the middle of this board, because I'm going to split it down the middle here. So 0.854, and so 0.854 divided by 2 equals 0.427, which is perfect. So 427, and that allows me to find the center. And then what I will do, is I will take that center line and match it up on the sawtooth blade so that it's right in the middle of the sawtooth blade. So there's my line right here. I know this is hard to see from way back there, but there's my line right here, my center line. My top of the cut's going to come to here, and I'm going to flip this over so it'll cut to this side when I flip it. It'll cut to that side of the line, leaving me a little bit of meat in between. So what I'm going to do is find the flat blade, because I can center it on that flat blade. Put this right in the middle of that flat blade. So I'm getting it centered. And then slide this over and get it lined up. Down just a little bit. And it's always a good idea when you get it lined up, put your handle down, because sometimes that will cant your fence just a little bit. So you'll think you'll have it lined up and then you'll tighten it, but your fence will actually cant a little bit and it'll take your measurement off. So make sure you check your measurement after locking down the arm. And if you have to adjust it, loosen it, lock it back down, and then check it again. Okay, that's in the middle. Last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a feathering board in here. And this does a great job of holding this thing as it enters the cut and keeps it pressed against that fence so that I get a very accurate cut here. And it keeps pressure against there, so it's going to feed through and give me a straight cut. So feathering boards are really nice. I wish I had one that had little mag things on it, but I don't. Anyway, but this will fit through. It'll hold it nice and flush to there. The other thing I need is a push stick. I've got this push stick right here so that I can put pressure on it from the back and push through and don't have to use my hand on top. I can't use this. It's not practical because it's tippy, right? So anyway, that's what we're going to do now. I think we're good. So let's go ahead and do this cut and I'll kind of show you how that's going to work out. Hit it. There we go. I do have a comment. I just want to come over and check out the comment. So, oh, hey, somebody asking if I want to be TikTok famous. Awesome. I can buy followers. I swear. Do people actually do that? Like, do they fall for that crap or whatever? I don't know. So anyway, here's my cut. You can see that as it passed through, it left some meat in the middle. So I'm going to get a little closer so you can see that. So there's some meat in the middle there. This will then go over to the bandsaw where it will easily cut that out. But I have a little bit more than a 1/4 inch on each side. So that's really what we were wanting to do with this one. This one is a little shorter, so I need to lower my blade down. Although, I think if I look at this cut on this one, hang on a second, let me see where this is going to pass. I may be able to leave it in the same place because this one was a little thicker than I wanted in terms of the thickness or the depth of the cut. So let me see if I can figure out where that would fall on this one. So on here, that would be, just want to see where this is going to go. If I left it in this place. I might can use without changing anything. A little less wood in between. I don't know if that's as thick as I want this to be. I'm just going to draw this line here and see. And I might just lower it down just a little bit just to be on the safe side. It's still not bad, actually. Not a bad piece in the middle there. So really all I'm going to do is find the middle section on this, and it should be, because these are the same board, this actually should be right in the middle. So I think I'm going to lower this down just a hair, just a hair. There we go. And we're just going to cut this one as well. So you ready? Let's go. Let's do this. flip it. Perfect. Okay. So you can see this one also just left that little piece in the middle. And that means we can take this over to the table saw, or not table saw, to the bandsaw, and we can separate these two out really quickly. And let's see, where are we going to go for that? Let me give you a little bandsaw view over here real quick. Okay, so we'll go to camera 2 as we head over to the bandsaw. And I've got all these goodies in the way here that I need to move. My shop is taking up so much space right now. Let me get the dust collection. I do want the dust collection for the bandsaw though. Just keeps things a little neater. And I'm going to set this up. It might already be in a good spot. So let me see, because I did this on the other ones. And that looks pretty good. I'm not going to lose any. It's going to go right between the slot here. So I've already got my fence set up. And all I'm going to do, I might move it in just a tiny, tiny bit. Just a skosh. Like that. But anyway, what we're going to do is run this blade right down the middle and cut and separate. Oop, where are we? There we go. Cut and separate this little piece out. And so this will fall into two halves. So let's go ahead and get the dust collection running and turn the saw on, and off we go. So you can see how the bandsaw makes really short work of separating this little piece of wood that was left in the middle here. So if you look, you can see there's just that little strip of wood right there that is right there. So you can see that. All we had to do was separate that out. So we got two pieces here. And now we're going to go over to the plane. So back to the planer. And we're going to make these boards a little skinnier. So let me flip the camera angle here for you real quick so you can see the planer. And zoom out a little bit here. There we go. And then we can run these through the planer. I got to get this cherry board out of the way. It's kind of in the way. But I need to set up my height for these things. Where are my boards now? Set all my boards down. And there they are. So bring these over here. And I just need to get like the tallest portion of one in here so I can get a starting height for this. So probably pretty good right there. I'll start with that. It's really, really light and gentle, and just to remove the highest parts. And then we'll start lowering it down. The only thing I'm looking for is my calipers, because as we get close to 1/4 of an inch, I want to make sure that I've got a good measurement going, that I can get this thing's really accurate. All right, so let's get this thing fired up. I need my dust collection, and off we go. Yeah, I'm checking these, and I'm pretty much like right at 1/4 of an inch. So, yep, pretty nice. So that is all of these. So like I said, 2 of these long ones right here will go in the long oak board, and then these shorter ones are for the short oak base, and these are for the long oak base, short oak base. Wow, my tongue's is twisted. I'm going to take my directions for my planer and put them on my pile of directions for all of my other equipment that I have in the shop here, because I have a whole stack of a giant stack of these things in here. I want to make sure I'm not losing any of them. There we go. All right. Yeah, so that though is that's the process for making these thin boards right here. These will get glued in, cut down to size and glued in. So that's the process for that. But you can see that's resawing right there. That's when you talk about resawing wood, you're taking thick strips and turning them into thinner strips or thinner boards. And that's what I've done here. And this planer is a joy to work with. I'm telling you right now, so nice. So the last thing I can do, I don't know if I want to do this yet. I might wait to do this last part just because it involves me. Hang on, I'm going to come around the front for just a second so I can chat with you from the front side. So the last part involves cutting these triangular sections out of here to make the feet for the machines to sit on. And that means I have to cut these boards, like I'll show you right here. So you see how that's just triangular shaped, but it's just a really long strip. This is wood burn. This will get sanded off. Don't worry about that. But it's a long strip of triangular shaped wood, right? And so the way I do that is to set my table saw up to tip the blade to 45 degrees, and then I cut a little section off. So I'll cut a 45-degree section off. It'll be like this, well, something like that. It'll cut that 45-degree section off. Then I'm left with a 45, and I cut that straight up and down, and that gives me 2 that are useful. Now, generally what I need for doing feet, it's about 2.5 inches per foot. There's 4 feet per base. So you're looking at 10 inches plus 3/8, so 11 inches. Generally what I would do is cut these to be like, 2 feet. 12 inches gives me enough for all 4. I did this because I was going to have a 45-degree angle on my board, right? So I'm like, well, I don't need here it was like this. So my board had this 45-degree angle on here, so I went ahead and cut a straight one. I can always use these for something else. And I'll do the same thing on the cherry board and the oak board, because at some point in time, I will make another oak or cherry. So I might as well go ahead and do it. So what I did was I measured this I could do it one of 2 ways. I could only cut 12 inches and then flip it and get another 12, or I can do 24 inches, which is what I did here. I cut this to 24 inches, which gives me enough for both bases on one strip here, and then I've got an extra one for 2 more bases down the road. So these are exactly 24 inches. I will do that for this oak board right here. So I will take this and cut my 45 on the end here, and then I will do the same thing, flip the saw over, cut it straight, and get another 45 section out of there. So all I need to do now is figure out, do I want to do that part now, or do I want to do, sitting here with these stupid ears on, or do I want to do the cherry board and get it milled up to this point as well, because it's sitting over there needing to be milled in the same way that we've done this one. You can see it's a lot of work to mill these things. It's already after 1. And I'm not sure if I can, because I'll have to put it on the sled. You saw how much work that was to get it done and sled milled and everything else. So I think I'm kind of at a point now where I'm not going to do a whole lot. I'll tell you what I might do. Since we're kind of at that point where anything else I do would be big and in the way, I think what I'm going to do is set up my my little stop block here. And let me push this out of the way to the side. I'm going to get my plane, and I'm going to grab that walnut base, and I'm going to just work on getting those sides down to flush with the rest of it. And then from there, well, this will be ready to move forward. So what I'm going to do is I've got a stop block put in here, and I'm going to look at my grain direction. It's kind of wavy grain anyway. Don't know how well this is going to work. I'm going to do it like this. And all I'm going to do is take my plane and just work this off. It's not cutting big strips because this is really thin wood to start with, but slowly but surely I will take this down, and you can see I'm getting a bunch of little straps here. Oh, looks better over here. You can see what I'm doing here. I can empty these out. Just trying to hold it straight up and down. It will get a little cockeyed from time to time, but that's not really a big deal right now. Right now I'm just worried about getting a cut all the way across here. And then I will worry about it being flat once I get it flush to the rest of the side here. That will take care of itself pretty much. When I get down to this side right here, this will guide me in cutting this flatter once I get close to it. So this is making lots of little confetti. But I think I did a pretty good job on this one. Like I said, I'm not concerned about like this being a dark wood and it's going to get oil treatment in the finish. And so really you're not going to notice this additional wood on this one. Probably not so much on the cherry ones either, because I'm going to stain the cherry ones dark. The ones I'm more concerned about are the oak and the hickory, because they'll kind of stand out. You'll be like, well, what's up with this wood? Well, there's a story with that. I'm just going to keep doing this until I get down. I'm getting really close now. Getting really close. I'm actually hitting here, so this is a little higher down here, but here, still a little bit. I'm going to try to get this. Now I'm getting full shavings going across here, which is good. Not so much right here. Still a little bit of a low spot right there. So I need to kind of finesse this a little bit. I think if I take this side and come down a little bit, maybe. So I took that down just a little bit. And now I can bring this. So this is pretty flush all the way down through here. So these are full-size shavings coming off there now. You can see that's a full shaving coming off of there. Still a little bit off right here. Now the other thing is I'm going to cut a pocket in here with a rabbit bit. And so there we go. Now we're getting there. So when that rabbit bit goes across there, it's going to remove most of the wood right here because it's a 1/4 inch rabbit bit. Remember, that's a 1/4 inch piece of wood. So it's going to remove most of the top of this anyway. You're not going to see it in this section. Down here you will, but I'm going to tell you that put a little oil and stain on there, you're not really going to notice too much along there. That looks pretty good, right? Not too bad. Not too bad. I'm going to flip this and hit the other side now, because this side is also raised. But this is kind of my plan, was that, you know, using the hand planes allows a lot of finesse. It's a scalpel, not a chainsaw, so you're a lot better off doing something like this where you can really take your time and get very precise cuts and just move a little material at a time, as opposed to like using a flush trim. I could get these down really quick, but I mean, if I get chip out or whatever, I'm kind of hosed. Where here, I'll be a little bit careful, make sure that that's not an issue. We're back to these little skinny shavings again, because I'm working on this thin area here. But I really want this one to turn out well. I mean, I like them all to turn out well, but this one is for a friend. And it's special, more so than most of the other ones, due to the fact that it's going to be his mother's machine in here. And she was a really sweet lady. And she passed away a few years ago. And so I really want him to have this as a really great reminder of his mom sitting around. And I used to go, they lived up in Erie, Pennsylvania. And so we used to go up to their house in like January/February. So if you don't know anything about Erie, Pennsylvania, in January and February, it is pretty much the epitome of a winter wonderland. And it sits right on Lake Erie, and we would go ice fishing. So yes, we would take our little tents out there and drill holes in the ice and sit there like numbskulls with our little poles in the water for hours on end. And it was loads of fun. I just had a ball doing it. And his dad would go with us. His dad was like 80 some years old, and he would haul his cookies out there at like 0 degrees outside. That'd be, and just, you know, didn't think anything of it. He's out there and we're just fishing all day long. So, but that's kind of how life is up in places like that. You know, if you live in Erie, Pennsylvania, or Buffalo, New York, or, you know, Alaska or something like that, you know, you just know that life has to go on when the weather turns foul. So just do what you do and you don't let it stop you. So, you know, the funny thing is, we were up there, the first time I went up there, and there was 3 feet of snow piled around the sides. They use bucket loaders to remove the snow from their streets and stuff. But 3 feet of snow and 14 degrees, and the kids were going to school. And I was like, what the heck? I mean, we would have been off for a month if that was where I lived. So, but not there. They're like, well, if we stop for snow, our kids would never go to school. So they didn't really have a choice. It's like, you just do what you got to do. All right, I'm almost here to a point where this is down. I got a little bit more here, not much. Still getting some thin shavings over here. This is flat right here now. This actually looks really good. A little bit left over here. Trying to get that done. This corner's kind of hanging me up, but we're pretty close. Pretty close. I can still see a little glue squeeze out, so I know I'm not quite there yet. Got a little bit more to go, right, especially right here. On. There we go. Now we're flat. Now we're flat. We look good. Give you a closer view here. I don't think I got a great clamping job right there, but that's okay. It still looks pretty good. And when this is all dark with oil and stuff, you'll never notice. But pretty good job up and through here. This is going to have to come down quite a bit, actually, because this is much lower. I'm not sure how that got so much lower. So I'm going to have to lower this down on this end, because this is pretty low right here. So I got a low spot here that needs to be angled up. So I'm going to work on that for just a second, as long as I'm here, and fix this. Because when we get ready to do the rabbiting bit, well, it needs to all be square and flush here. So there we go. And we're just going to work it right up on the side here. Go. That looks, oh, that's much better. I got rid of some of that glue that was right there too. So this is pretty close to being done. Okay, now we're right there. That's awesome. Okay, a little bit, just a tiny bit more. I hate it when I can feel. I use my thumb and it's like, oh, I feel it. If I feel it, I'm like, oh, it's not perfect. There it is. Now it's perfect though. Now it is perfect. So let's take a close-up view here, so you can see, like right here. I mean, if you didn't know any better, and you had to look twice to see that that's actually 2 pieces of wood. In fact, it looks like the seam's right there, but it's not. It's actually right here. So that one blends in beautifully. But remember, this is going to get cut down from the rabbiting bit. It's going to come across here and remove the top of this anyway, so I don't really care. Right here, a little bit of glue. This needs to be flattened just a little bit right here. Tiny bit right there. I wonder if I can do that right now. Now that I see it, I can see that it's not quite, there we go. It wasn't quite down to it, but now it is. So that looks really nice. So I'm really, really pleased with the way this one turned out. Let me dump all of my scraps out of here. Yeah. There we go. So the next thing to do on this one will be to cut the excess thickness off of the center divider. And once we get that done, then we can glue this in. And once this is glued in and set all the way down to the bottom and glued in, then we can go ahead and get our rabbiting bit and cut the ledge that our lid will fit into for this one. I still need to, I'm going to have to mill up a piece of wood to do corners for this one. Because I did not get any corners done for this. Sad to say, but it is what it is. But that's okay. I mean, I've got the wood for it, and that's the important part, is I'm not going to be like searching through my scraps trying to find something that'll work. I've got wood for it. So, you know, I've got brand new walnut that just needs to be milled up and get some corner pieces cut. So that's not a big deal. Yeah, but I'm very pleased that this turned out. I mean, so here's the thing. It's thicker on these sides, but does it really look that bad? Does it look like it's like way off? Not really. Hopefully that's not the case. It just looks like it has a little bit more meat on the sides, and I'm okay with that. I hope everybody else will be okay with it when it comes time to sell these, but you know, it's a feature. It's not a mistake, it's a feature. So anyway, that's what we got going on here. What time is it? It's 1:15-ish. So I think I'm going to go ahead and pull the plug on today's episode. I'm just going to keep carrying on. I've got the oak pieces pretty much done, right? We were successful on these oaks. So this was awesome. I've already got the ones for the hickory, and I need one more set like this to go to the cherry bases. And once I get all those done, and I get the corner pieces cut and such, I will probably get the hickory ones cut in clamps. It takes a lot of clamping to get these things in here and glued. So I'll probably get those cut and then clamps at least today. I'm going to get that done. And then start flattening that cherry board over there. Same process I went through all today. So put it on the sled, flatten one side, take it off the sled, flip it over, get it perfectly parallel flat on the other side, get an edge done, and then we will cut a couple of boards out of it to resaw into thinner boards. That's the process. Once I get all that done, I will then go back to the saw with the oak board right here and the cherry board that'll be left over, and we will flip the saw blade to a 45 and cut some of those triangular pieces out for feet for both of those. So hopefully between today and tomorrow, that will happen. Where's my phone? I wanted to look and see what the weather is supposed to be, because the weather is a big factor in this. Not in the fact that it's like 77 in here, so pretty comfortable. Wow, it's 86 in Pittsburgh today. What the heck's up with that? So what I'm looking at is, ooh, that's nice. I'm looking at a full week this week, and then Monday of next week. So I will be back here Wednesday and Friday of this week, and then Monday for next week, and then I'll be gone for a little while because I'm taking a bike packing trip from Pittsburgh to Georgetown in Washington, D.C. And I've been trying to line that up. So today here, it's going to be hotter in Pittsburgh than it is here today. It's only supposed to be 80 here today. And tomorrow is 79 and partly sunny. So I've got a couple of long bike rides planned because, see, I'm telling you this because you need to know that I don't just hop on my bike and go. I need to train for this. So I've got a couple of longer, like 20-ish mile bike rides planned for around my area. And they take some time to do. And I really wanted to do it in nice weather. And we're supposed to have just beautiful weather here for the next couple of days. Wednesday's rain, so we'll be here in the shop anyway. We don't care. But the weather looks really great for the next whatever. I think fall is finally starting to get here. Those 80s are disappearing for 70s, and that's so beautiful, especially if you're going to do something like camping or hiking or bike packing, which is riding your bike and camping. That is really just fantastic weather. And I need to cut my grass too at some point in time. So squeezing a grass cutting in maybe tomorrow. I want to get a bike ride in. Plus I need to get all this stuff done. Like I said, I try to keep the train moving forward. These stupid additional pieces just threw me so far behind schedule. But you know what? We're making the most of it. We're moving on. We're getting fixes done here. This one was kind of the trial, and those corners in here and stuff look really nice. I cut them nice and tight. I got them glued in really well. And I'm going to take my time and do the same thing on the others, get them cut really precisely, get them glued in, and try to get really good glue joints. I mean, if it's not a great glue joint at the bottom where it touches the bottom of the base, I'm okay with that. Where I want it to be super, super tight glue joint is right here at the top, where I'm going to plane it down, and I want it to be as seamless as possible. Now, sometimes it's not going to be possible, like with this stuff, because it has all this, you know, it's got all these marks and these little knotty things and everything. I'm going to try to get it as clean as possible, but you're going to tell for some of these things. But like for these oak, I don't think you'll tell on this oak stuff. It's pretty clean. So the oak should blend in, hopefully, really nicely. And you should not be able to hopefully see them on the oak. That's my plan. And the cherry, same way. And the cherry is going to get stained dark. So I'm really hopeful that the cherry, you won't even know at all. So that's my plan, is to move forward with that, get a bike ride in, get some yard work done, and then come back here Wednesday and you can see where I failed and where I succeeded. Sounds good. Okay, thanks for stopping in. Thanks for checking things out. If you're new here, if you hit the follows or subscribes or whatever's appropriate for the platform you're on, you can even, like on YouTube, you can hit the little bell, get notifications when I go live again and such. I do this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 o'clock if I'm not on a bike packing trip. But anyway, 11 o'clock Eastern time on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. So JR's Wood Shop, all my stuff's down here. You can see my little socials. It's also in the description and the about info and everything else. So thanks for stopping by. Have yourself a great Monday. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Come back and see me on Wednesday. Take care.